Okay, pop quiz. This is an easy one. What's the obvious thing missing from these video clips? If you said a picture of me, well, you're right, but that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about sound effects. I'm sure I don't have to tell you the importance of sound when it comes to video production. Music and sound effects make it or break it. And if you produce films, AI or otherwise, you are going to be in need of a sound effects library of some kind. Now, traditionally, you would buy these things or license them, or you would just sort of steal sound effects covertly off the internet. Not me, but, other people. Or maybe you got your own Foley booth and you can create your own sound effects. If so, good for you. But if not, our friends at ElevenLabs have your solution.
The ElevenLabs SFX model just got a major upgrade. Now with increased sample rates, better prompt adherence, longer durations, and the ability to generate seamlessly loopable sounds to add texture to your scenes.
So there you go. In a nutshell, they've updated their sound effects module, and we're going to demonstrate it in the context of creating film or video content. If you've used the sound effects module over at ElevenLabs in the past, you may notice some changes to the interface. Nothing really drastic, but now they've kind of added their own sound effects library with sounds that have been generated here on the platform. You got things like animals, like a bear growl, a peacock call, a dinosaur voice, etc. They have a whole category for devices like a telephone ring or turning on the TV, even multiple beeping buttons. So depending on your needs, you may not even need to generate a sound effect that's customized, but if you do, that's what it's all about. Right down here, you can type in whatever prompt you'd like, define how long you want the sound effect to go, all the way to 30 seconds now. You have the ability to do seamless loops by clicking this button right here, which is great for background ambient sounds. And here you have the prompt influence. Low prompt influence means that ElevenLabs has a lot more creativity with the prompt, and high prompt influence means that it's going to stick more to your prompt. In a real life project, you're going to be working, no doubt, in some sort of video editor where you will place the generated sound effects where they belong. Let's just show you how simple it can be to use this in a real life project. We're going to drag this video of the tomato being thrown against the wall. Obviously, you can use whatever video editing program you are comfortable with. In this case, I am using Filmora. Now, we play the sound now. There's nothing there. So what we need is the sound of a tomato being smashed up against a wall, right? So we'll just use a prompt like a large tomato being thrown against a wall, making a splatter sound, and click the little go button here. And in just a few seconds, we will have 4 options to choose from. I'm realizing now that I had 16 seconds as the time. That's a little extreme for a tomato being thrown against a wall, but let's see what it gives us. All right. Okay. That's not bad. I think I want it sounding a little wetter. Let's change the length to about 2 seconds maybe. And I'm going to say a wet splatter sound and see if we get a little something more. Let's see what we got. Nope. No one of these sound effects is actually doing it for me here. If I click on history, I will have access to all the previous sound effects generations I have made, including the ones we just did with the large tomato. Let's listen again to this one. That's from the first set. It's not necessarily wet or splatty, but I'm going to go ahead and download that. I will download it as a WAV file. We've got it all the way up to 48 kilohertz. And now I can just drag that right onto the timeline. And I'm actually going to trim this down because I'm only using the very first part. I need to find exactly where that's going to happen, right there maybe. And move this over. Actually, I need to zoom in because that right there needs to happen. Let's see how that looks. So what's the problem with this? It's in freaking slow motion like so many AI generated videos are. And I think a lot of people get bent out of shape about that. But the key is that you've got all these frames to work with. You can actually, in this editing program, speed this clip up to make it look more natural. Let's do that. I'm just going to select this clip. I actually disconnected this settings panel so that I would have more room on the screen. But here I'm going to choose speed and just play with what looks more natural. We can try almost 2.5 times faster. Let's see what we get there. We're going to mute this for a second because it's not going to line up properly. So now that speed looks way more natural. So let's line this up again right there where it hits the wall. We'll unmute this track. Again, move that waveform right there where it should be. Move back to the beginning. There you go. Let's try this pumpkin example. I'm just going to drag this in here, delete this, drag this pumpkin onto the timeline. I think this is the one. We'll play it again. Again, we've got slow motion here, so let's speed that up one more time. All right, that looks pretty good, maybe even a little fast. Now we need to generate the sound of a pumpkin smashing into another pumpkin. Smashing pumpkins! So my prompt here is a large pumpkin falls from the sky onto another pumpkin, and they both burst into pieces. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Well, if the pumpkins were made out of plastic, I'm just not getting that pumpkin-y sound. So I'm going to actually just throw a weird word in here. A large rubbery pumpkin with thick skin falls from the sky, etc. Let's see what we got here. All right, this fourth one doesn't necessarily by itself sound like what we're looking for, but let's download it anyway and drag it on and see what happens. You're going to want to hit right there, maybe, and drag this in. Again, line up the start of the waveform. I'm going to need to turn off this snapping here so I have more control. Okay, that's not bad. We could do some tweaking, but you get the idea. Here we have several videos of an elderly gentleman dropping a glass. We have the speed problem on all of them. Let's go ahead and select all of these and do a mass speed update and see what we get. Okay, there and there. That's still a little slow, that last one. We'll pop it up a little bit more. Okay, so we have a glass breaking with water in it. So the prompt I'm going to use is a glass full of water falls onto the tile floor and shatters with a wet splash of broken glass. Really putting the prompt adherence to the test. So we got 4 different ones here to choose from, and we have 3 different clips. So again, let's line up exactly where that glass is going to fall, right about there. Download the audio file, and once again, drag it where we want it. Let's try a different one, see if it's more appropriate. Drag that here, let's mute this one. Now let's move to this one. That glass sounds just a little too tinkly. Let's go grab this one, give it a try. All right, they went right into the next one. We'll line that up. That's kind of a small glass, so maybe that small glass one that we did before will work. So now we have... All right, now the old man is drinking too, so maybe we can get him to sip a little bit. Man sipping water from a glass. Let's definitely just take this duration down to maybe 1.5 seconds because we don't want it to draw on too long. Here's our first round of sipping. Okay. Oh, these are good. These will work. Nice. Gross and nice. So we got that. Let's download this one. Now let's get this one. And there is no sipping on the last one. Fun, right? Let's do one that's more long form and not a bunch of series of clips. So what we have here is a woman walking into a house, going over to the sink, turning on the water, getting a phone call, suddenly dropping the phone and running out as the water overflows. So we've got lots to play with here. The first thing we've got is a door opening. My guess is we've got a door opening here in this pre-made sound effects library. Let's just check it out. Door open and just do a search. And of course we do have these. No. Here is a door opening in the household category. We'll give it a try and see what it looks like here. We'll download it and drag it on, see what we've got. And we'll need the door closed too, and maybe even a creaky door closed just to be cliche about it. So she's in here, and now we'll create one this time. I won't say creaking first, we'll see if it adds it in there. Let's say wooden door closing, and we'll give this actually a few seconds to do. Okay. That one's nice and subtle. Let's try that one and see if we can line it up properly. So this right here is the peak where the door is actually closing. So let's find that moment right there and move this over, see what that looks like. Oh, yeah. Now, we also got some footsteps. They're not huge footsteps. We don't want anything clunky. She's actually in bare feet, so boy, that's going to be subtle. Let's see if we can actually do that. Bare feet, quietly walking on a wooden floor. We'll leave it at 3.5 seconds, see what happens. It's a little bit fast. That looks promising. As does that. Let's get this third one here. Drag that in here. She's walking pretty much from the beginning. Wow, the feet actually timed out. That's just a happy accident. But that worked out just about perfectly. Now she's going to be walking over to the sink, so we're going to need that again. Maybe a little bit faster. That first one does seem fast, but we have the ability to slow it down a bit. Let's just download it and see what it looks like before I judge it too harshly. She's going to start that walking right about there. Not bad, not bad, not bad. I'll let that go. Now she's over here at the sink and she's going to turn on the water. I'm going to try this with one prompt. We may have to break it into two. I've got opening squeaky water faucet, water running in a metal sink. Holy moly, that's really, really squeaky. So that one there is probably okay for starting it, but I'm realizing this is a perfect opportunity for a loop because this water is going to be going on in the background. We've got the squeaky faucet opening, so let's drag that in the appropriate place. And let's take down the volume because it is really loud and she's supposed to be over there. The water runs there. So let's move this maybe here. Okay, so that works for that, but there's a little bit of business that she does right here as she's reaching for the sink. So we need something there because it's just too quiet. But how do you describe a woman grabbing onto a sink faucet? Let's just try something generic, moving around an item. This is just to create some sort of sound which might work as the woman hanging onto the sink, getting it ready to turn on. So let's see what we get. So that sound right off the bat doesn't sound exactly like it would work, but I'm going to go ahead and download it anyway and see what it looks like in context because it's easy to overthink this stuff. Let's back it up a little bit and see how it moves. That works for me. Now we need running water in the background the entire time. So now's the perfect time to do a loop. So we're going to turn on the loop feature here and just say water running in a sink. And we'll let it go 6 seconds. Now, because this whole video is less than 30 seconds, I could just make a 30-second clip of running water. In this case, I'd like to demonstrate the loop. So let's just go ahead and get that generated. So this is fine. Let's just listen to it loop here. All right, so we're going to just download that one. Totally works. Don't need to really listen to the other ones. We're going to drag this right about here and maybe adjust the volume a little bit here. We want this to be kind of seamless. Let's see what we get. For this to work as a loop, we would actually have to copy this particular segment and then paste it a few times. So it would be way more practical to generate like a 20-second clip, but I did want to demonstrate how this loop worked. Let's see it in practice. So we're running. And you can see it just seamlessly goes. Now we've got a phone call coming in before she answers, so maybe right about there, she hears the phone ring. Let's be really bold and say marimba-based phone ringtone. They're all pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just use the first one here. Let's see what we got. All right, so she's going to actually stop that right about here. She's picking it up, and now she's going to basically hit a button and stop the ringtone. So let's just go up here and do a quick search for a beep. I actually like that sound right there. So I'm going to grab that and drag it right at the end of this clip. Now, so now she's just reading. Right here she kind of does a gasp. Let's see if in the library they have a gasp. Okay, I really like that one. Now we have a whole different level of water hitting the floor. So right about there, we want it to kind of seem a little bit deeper, a little bit more resonant because it's not just going in the sink, it's going onto the floor. We'll put the duration up to about 8 seconds just so we have plenty, a large amount of water spilling onto a wooden floor. The problem with those is it doesn't sound like it's going on to a wooden floor. It sounds like it's going into a metal sink. Let me just check what they've got. I'm going to say water spill. These are more splashes and not spills or flowing. Let's try water flowing. Well, that's not a wooden floor. How about water flooding a room? I like that. It just doesn't really necessarily last long enough, but it might work for our situation. So let's download that second one. I really do like it. Even though the official sound effect is violent seawater flooding into a ship cabin. And I'll move that down here, see what it looks like. Perfect. See, it ends in plenty of time. So it is a little loud though. We're going to lower the volume of that big splash. So now the next obvious thing we need to add is her running out of the room. And remember when we created these footsteps before, we had that first set that was very fast, a little too fast for walking, but perfect for running. So let's just scroll down here. We've got the bare feet quietly walking. May not even be fast enough. Let's just change the prompt and say bare feet quietly running on a wooden floor. That sounds good. Very quiet. I like that one. All of those are good. Let's take this last one, that WAV file, and drag it to where she begins to run. All right, we don't really hear it. I'm going to go ahead and pop it up. But we don't want to do it so loud that it's unrealistic. Also, let's note that the video actually ends here. I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. Everything that goes past the end of the video, see, like right here and right here. And just trim these out because we're not going to see them. Let's go to the beginning and see what it looks like. So I know that was a fairly quick and simple demonstration, but I think you pretty much get the idea. It's super fast and easy, and being able to come up with just about any sound effect you can imagine with just a little bit of tweaking without having to pay for a licensed library or anything like that, or steal sound effects from somewhere, it's a freaking game changer. Give it a try and have fun. If these are the types of tools and innovations you like to learn about, well, why not subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because this is the type of stuff we cover all the time.
If you subscribe now, I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you do not, I will look for you. I will find you. And I